now we are Thank you. Now we are deep into this thing, and I would love to know what changes you've seen with Black women and the pleasure that they're getting during this pandemic and how it's been affecting them. And whoever wants to start can get us started.
I think Dr. Lexx should start because she always coming on here looking all regal and stuff. So I'm just gonna bow to greatness right now, and I'm gonna let the great go.
Shaymra be acting like we not reflections of each other because
We
I am
are.
simply a reflection of her on a regular basis.
We
I didn't even
definitely
know
are.
Shaymra was like under 5'7" when I before I met Shaymra because just the presence that she brings. I'm 5'9" in flats, so matching height and everything, just the presence.
5'3".
Oh, on a good day. Um, so to get to your question, Jasmine, all right, the pandemic's been rough, y'all. This personal pan pizza right here has been harder than a panini press at an Italian hoagie restaurant. Right, we have been going through it, and we see that. We see that in the divorce rates. We've seen that in domestic violence rates. We've seen that y'all done seen it on the apps. If y'all are on the apps, I apologize in advance if you own the apps because it's not an easy life. So we're starting to see people, one, make decisions where they're like, I don't want to be with you anymore. Or they're really starting to get dedicated. They're like, we gonna be together, then we gonna be together and we gonna make this work. And I don't know if you all have noticed, but fall has set in up here in the Northeast where I am living. So it's a little bit colder, and this tends to be a prime time for conflict for couples. As you close down, we've already been under quarantine, we're spending more time together. So Black women are actually really starting to ground their voices and amplify them. No longer does self sacrifice mean goodness, right? I'm not sacrificing my pleasure to be a good lover or to be a good wife. Like, you need to know what this vulva is and what this thing do so this thing can be thinging, so we can all have some pleasure. And so I'm starting to see that amplification and ownness of this is just to wrap up, that it's not the color purple days, right? We're no longer accepting Mr. using the bathroom on us. It's more like, no, I got a WAP and I would like to use it. And if you're not helping it be a WAP, we're going to figure out how you can help this be a WAP. There's some classes, there's some accessible things. So Black women really are amplifying and starting to advocate more for their pleasure.
I love that. Thank you. Shamaya, did you want to add anything to that?
Just that I definitely agree that Black women are starting to amplify their pleasure. And we sexologists, listen, we have been working hard to teach women and to show women how to amplify their pleasure and also that their pleasure matters. I tell people all the time that pleasure is revolutionary, especially for a Black woman. If you could just sit and experience just pleasure, not just sexual pleasure, I'm talking about just self pleasure outside of sex, then you are literally a revolutionary in this current society. And what Dr. Lex just said, that's actual research that supports that. Where I know y'all, you know about back then, people used to say, oh, Black women don't do that. Black women don't do that, right? Black women do that, right? And so the research even supports, and the Love Honey Summer of Love survey, it was a big, huge survey with the Kinsey Institute, where they found that over 50% of women are saying now that they're more invested in their sexual relationship um, in this evolving COVID society than they were pre-pandemic. So if that's not you, that's okay. We got something for you.
I love that. And that really just brings us into the next thing. So whenever we were posting on social, just today, we were talking about 72% of Black women saying that they faked an orgasm. And many of the comments were really saying that, like, I didn't want to mess with his ego, or my partner, I just would rather just get it over with. And I'd really like to talk to you about how communication is important. And whenever you're in a relationship or just with whatever sexual partner you're with, and how that really does impact the kind of experience that you can have.
Well, so the research that I was just speaking about shows that the reason why relationships and couples say that they've improved during the pandemic is because people started using their mouth. So people started talking about sex more, right? People started paying attention. We had more time to sit around and say, you know what, if we're gonna be here together, then I need to stop faking. I need to start getting me, because you get you every time, right? And we can talk more about that later. But when you start using your mouth, you start improving your sexual relationship. Sexual communication is super important to any relationship. You have not because you ask not and you tell not, right? And so if you have to get your partner's hand and say, not right there, then that's what I need you to do. We need you to start directing your partners to where you like to be touched. And I know sometimes people say, I don't know where I like to be touched, so I don't want to hurt their feelings. Then you want to be unsatisfied. I tell you what, when they mess your order up at that drive-through, I bet you go back and make sure they get it right, don't you? Don't you? Have it your way. Have it your way. Dr. Lex, what do you think?
So I definitely, of course, concur with you. I will also add that there has been a layer of education that I think that Black women specifically are grasping for. And I think they're grasping for it to break transgenerational trauma because we're raising our daughters and sons. And they said, nope, this will not pass down to my children. My children will know all of their body parts. Like, you know, that 60-year-old, grandmama who's like, yeah, your nipple down there. And you're like, what? What are we talking about? Are we talking about a clitoris? Like, we're talking about the clitoris here? What part of the vulva are we talking about? I want to make, hey friend. So I want to talk about what's going on. And so Black women are starting to one, learn more, and then two, in my Black Girl's Guide to Couples Intimacy, I included coloring pages so we can talk about your hot spots, right? Your hot spots aren't just your neck and your back and that little place on your hip, right? Your vulva has hot spots too. You like, I don't really like the U spot touched. Please don't play with there. But if you can hit 6 o'clock, if you can just hit 6 o'clock a couple of times with a swirl, I really, really like that. And sometimes that's really, really hard. So us sexologists have been creating tools. We use our mouths, we have coloring pages, we have vulva puppets to try and help and support. But I think that the one addition is that learning piece of us trying to learn more and then pass that knowledge on.
Well, let's hit on that, right? So whenever we talk about survival for Black families and Black women in particular, and then we talk about generational trauma and just the way that we are educated about our bodies and such, and then also what we're told as Black girls, that sometimes in the last generation, it's like, give this person a hug, go sit on their lap, go say hello to them, you're going to spend the night over here. And then it's like, once you get to an adulthood, what do I like? Am I allowed to say what my pleasure is? Am I allowed to say what I like? So whenever you're seeing women specifically in therapy, how are you kind of working with them through like, okay, this is how you assert yourself. This is how you can start to enjoy pleasure in your life, not just sexually, but just in general. What tips do you have for that?
So I would love to jump in, Shaymra, if that's
Yeah, because
okay.
I was about to say Dr. Lex don't play that, what she was just saying about the hug, give a hug. So go ahead.
Because I raise my hating ass babies, my habs. So I have 2 little ones with vulvas. And we are vastly different in the way that we raise our children than the way we were raised. I'm a Southern recovering Baptist at that. So there's a lot of pieces there. In my office, though, the thing I think that is integral is, for Black women, I give them permission to go to pieces. Black women have been so conditioned to be super women. And we know from statistics, right, that it actually causes depression. But my own research is actually in forced fantasy. So rape fantasy is what my doctorate research is on, that talks about people who believe that power is exchanged during sex actually have fantasies of rape. And I only studied Black women. And I only studied women who had not experienced sexual trauma, just because that's who I could take care of. But the oldest woman in my study that had experiences and thoughts of rape fantasy was 65. Right? So over 60. And we talk about it because there is power in the idea of being able to relinquish power. It's pleasurable. if I can get in this room and I ain't got to make no decisions, and I'm not going to be thought to be a hoe because of it, I'm not going to be made to be fast, which I've been called since I was 5, right? Because she's been switching around. Look at her trying to get that attention of the man. She thinks she cute in that outfit. She's 5. She got a period, so she has a little bit of butt and boobs to her. It doesn't mean that she necessarily wants sexual attention from somebody. That child is 11, 12, 13. Right? So we've been sexualized from the time the kidnapper saw us on the coast of West Africa and was like, oh my gosh, we're so turned on by them. They must want sex. And we've been fighting that narrative with respectability politics since. And it has harmed our pleasure. It has harmed our ability to lay down our capes, especially in the bedroom. So I give permission. I give permission and make space to say, like, you can be a pool on my floor. And I promise you, you will be able to get up and keep moving afterwards. And you can feel all of your feelings without having to be strong in this space. And that's part of the work that I do.
Were you about to say something? Oh, I was going to jump in because when you were talking about fantasy, I know that Shaymra, when we had talked before, you were talking about how you are encouraging Black women to explore fantasies with them, with their partner and themselves. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how creating these fantasies really helps you to increase your sexual pleasure.
Absolutely. So in session and out of session, we are encouraging women and people to hone into whatever brings them pleasure, right? So I talk about sexual scripts a lot. We talk about sexual scripts a lot in the office, outside of the office. One thing we do is we get sexual histories of every client that comes in. So these sexual histories basically tell us where you got those thoughts and those behaviors and those attitudes that you have about sex. It tells us about that. It tells us what you want to do. And so whenever I'm having these sexual histories with a lot of women, I pay attention to, or with every woman or every person, I pay attention to what's not being said. So what's not being said is super important. Also, while listening to what is being said, and as Dr. Lexx was mentioning, like the research that she did with Black women, it's not that Black women don't have fantasies, because that was the thing. It's like, I don't really have fantasies. I used to ask people all the time, tell me about your fantasies. If I ask any of you who are watching to tell me one of your fantasies, you might be like, oh, let me think about it. But I'm going to ask you to do this, right? I'm not going to ask you what your fantasies are. I'm going to ask you to grab the closest thing that you have next to you, right? For me, that's going to be some earrings I took out of my ear before we started, these right here. Grab the closest thing to you. So think of something that you could do with this sexually. Think of how you could incorporate this, whatever your thing is, hold it up if you want to, if your camera is on, and let us see it so we can see what this is. This pen though. So think of that, right? Think of what you could do with that pen sexually. So these could be used in various ways. These are earrings, which means I could use these earrings for what we would call temperature play, and place them and rub them on a partner, have my partner rub them on me. I could put these in a freezer and let them get cold and let my partner rub these on my body, right? So just thinking about anything that you could do, or anything that you could do with the thing that you have sexually and with your partner, or specifically by yourself, because you could also use your thing by yourself, right? Your cell phone, you could use that to take pictures, to watch videos, to use videos, to get yourself in the mood. So when we think about fantasies, we're thinking about the erotic spaces, right? The erotic spaces that occupy space or may not, that we can sometimes travel to. It's like a time travel for a lot of people. And so when people tell me Black women are boring, they don't have fantasies, or when Black women tell me I don't have fantasies, I like to explore that with them and to find out, what does it mean for you to have a fantasy? Because some people think fantasy means something that's not achievable. And for a lot of people, it is, because you don't have to act out on your fantasies. Your fantasies are meant for you to visit an erotic place that helps to increase your arousal. It helps to change your sexual script. Your sexual script is basically what you have been telling yourself about sex since you were told that you wasn't supposed to have sex, and that sex was supposed to be saved for a special person and a special somebody. So you might have a blockage that's blocking you from tapping into those fantasies. Or the other thing that I find is that Black women are so ashamed of their fantasies. They're so ashamed to say, oh my goodness, yes, I do want him to get a belt and slap me so hard across the back that it leaves a mark and it stings with pleasure. Yes, I do want a gag ball in my mouth. I do want him to pull my hair from the roots and press his knee into my spine. I'm not talking about me, okay? I promise you I'm not, okay? Yes. So some meetings, we've been given so many messages about sex that it's hard for us to tap into fantasy. And one of the things that I love about fantasy is you don't even have to do it. It just lives there. It's an erotic, I call it an erotic palace that you visit from time to time when you need an extra boost. Okay, Jasmine. Let me get that knee out your bag, Jasmine. Go ahead.
We
I
ain't
love
get
it.
a safe word. We ain't get a safe word. We need a safe word.
So like right there, let's jump. So we had posted on our story about kink, right? And just I love how more of the Black community is starting to talk about kink, because before, even when I was growing up and like I'm 27, it was like, that's that white folk stuff. We don't do that over here. Even like any kind of anal play. Like, I'm like, okay, it's not just go in bed, get the job done, and then we clapping because the other person got theirs and we feel like we're accomplished because we did something for someone else. Like, where's your pleasure? So let's talk about kink. Are you seeing a lot more whenever you're talking to people about what do you want, and then you hear them say it and then you're like, oh, why don't you check out this kink community?
Yeah,
How are you?
that's one of my specialties, Jasmine. Kink and BDSM, especially, I like to destigmatize BDSM and kink for Black women because of what you just said. And I'm not going to hog this discussion, Dr. Lex. You got to jump in here. But I like to destigmatize it because this is what people tell me all the time. Oh, that's that white people shit. But let me tell you what happened during the pandemic, right? So during the pandemic, people got kinkier, right? What we saw was people's relationships didn't get better and they didn't get worse. What happened was their sexual diversity increased, and 51% of people said that there was a shift in their sexual interest, and of those, 73% said that they became kinkier. And I love to hear that. 73%. So basically what that means is, in a nutshell, when I say they became kinkier, you heard about that knee in the back, right? So it means that they might have brought a sex toy to the bedroom. They might have used a cock ring. They might have brought, some people even said that their interest in threesomes increased. Not talking about some of y'all in here. You know, they might have brought a toy. So basically it means that what we consider to be mainstream sexual behaviors, people moved into those non-mainstream things like spanking and stuff like that. And so there are ways that you could do this kink at home without any of these props. But I want to hear from you, Dr. Lex.
Well, so, again, my whole research study is about a kink. Forced fantasy and submission is kink, and also dominance, which is part of that. And there are Black kink fraternity and sororities that you can belong to. So Onyx, ONYX, is something you can look up. They have a fraternity, they have a sorority that you can actually join that talks about how to be kinky, how to do things safely. This includes anything. And so people forget that kink also means if you like that smack across your butt, that's kinky, y'all. That's impact play. As easy as it is, it's a spectrum. It doesn't mean you got to be tied up with a ball gag and a latex suit in a cage somewhere. Like, you don't have to do that. But if you like pull my hair and smack me real hard on my booty, like, that's kinky. And you talk about that, and you talk about what you want. I think that it's really important to talk about kink because it gives us a place and can be super healing. Right? So I use kink as a healing mechanism as well. So this idea that, one, you can completely just surrender to somebody. You can trust them with your pleasure, and their only mission is to bring you to pleasure as much as possible. Right? You negotiate that. So it teaches you boundaries. It teaches you your own limitations. It teaches you communication. And we've been thinking about kink since forever, right? So like, people read 50 Shades of Grey. It is not how kink is supposed to look, but it did introduce people to this idea that there's something more they can do. And then I saw a question in the chat talking about dominance over a man, right? Especially if you identify as a woman, thinking about you have all of the power. that you fight in regular oppression. So if you were born as a Black woman in this country, Patricia Hill Collins says you are going to experience classism, sexism, and racism. My millennial spin, I'm an older millennial, says that you're also going to experience sizeism, discrimination based on size, whether you are fat or thin, because nothing but a dog wants a bone, right? Or if you're not 36, 24, 36, then you too thick, and then you're fat and not wanted. You're going to experience colorism in a way, shape, and form for those girls. Oh, you pretty for a dark-skinned girl. What? Miss me. And you're also going to experience texturism. So you all might not know that Shaymra and I both have locks, right? The way that our hair naturally goes out of our head is discriminated against. We're oppressed for it. So just by existing. And so, yes, it might be really fun to dominate a man. It might be really fun to think about penetrating a man. One, they have the ability to have pleasure from that. But two, because we've been taught that the penis has so much power, so it might feel good to want to exalt power over another person because power is consistently attempted to be exalted over us.
I love that breakdown and how whenever you put it like that, I think that gives us more of a sense of comfort as far as like, why do I want this? Oh, well, that definitely makes sense because all day at work, I'm making decisions, and all day when I come home, I'm making decisions, and then nobody's ever just doing things for me. So yeah, let me submit to this person in this room where I feel comfortable. I love that. So you were talking about body size, and I'd just like to talk about how can women who are feeling the effects of colorism and texturism really feel comfortable with whoever their partner is in the bedroom, right? So like we know that if you never see anybody in porn with 4C hair, then whenever you think of like a sexy look, maybe my 4C hair is not what is sexy to me. So like, how can we get past that and get to this point where like, I want the lights on, I want all the clothes off, and I want to experience this way because I know I feel good and look good with who I am.
I'm putting a resource in the chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and defer to Dr. Donna Oriowu's work, Cocoa Butter and Hair Grease. Okay,
we both put it in there at the same time.
Right? Yes. So go to this link. This is a workbook, and Dr. Donna Oreo actually also does groups, right? And specifically focuses on colorism and texturism and how it shows up in the bedroom, how it shows up in esteem, and ways to conquer the shame that has been instilled in us because of those things. And my number one go-to to hear her speak is powerful. To work with her is absolutely amazing, and she holds you accountable in ways that you didn't even think possible, but can move mountains.
I want
not
you
at
to
all.
Basic. She does not play.
That was nice and easy. And yes, we loved having Dr. O last year, and then we loved having her on the podcast again in 3 for Thursday. It's always like a nice little word, and then she's just like, okay, I'm out now. Okay, so whenever it comes to toys, I would love to know what advice you have for choosing a toy that will work for you and your partner, by yourself, either way, without spending thousands of dollars trying to figure out what it is that you want.
So there are a millennial sexpert on Instagram, actually teaches you how to measure your own size so you can know what type of length and girth you might want, which is important when it comes to sex toys. There's a bunch of different types, right? There's just clitoral stimulators. There's internal. There are ones that do both. There's that godforsaken rabbit that got really popular from Sex and the City, right? So there's a bunch of different types, but you need to talk to your lover to see what they like, right? So I had a couple who one partner really liked clitoral vibration, but the challenge was their lover didn't like to penetrate while vibrating because it didn't feel good. The rose has been really, really popular recently. I gave some of those away. And it's just really, really a piece that I like to tell people is to try it on your nose. Like if you go to a sex toy shop, put it on your nose. Your nose has the same squishy kind of cartilage, and the blood vessels are very close to the front of your nose, so it feels like too much on your nose. It's going to feel like too much on any other sensitive part of your body. And so that's a great litmus test. If you're like, ooh, this don't feel good, it makes me itch, I don't like this, it is a good sign that that is too powerful of a toy for you. Also, you can't dead nerve endings. You can't kill nerve endings unless they are burnt off or cut off, people. Even for people who end up to be like quadriplegics or paraplegics, those nerve endings of pleasure grow to other parts of the bodies. So please don't believe that you cannot. What you can do is you can train your body to come the same way. And you're like, oh, I can't come when I'm on top, because you always masturbate when you're on your back with your knees up. So you do have to practice and try out different ways. You do have to try different toys. If you always know set number 8 is going to get me on this one, that's what I'm going to do, and it gets me there in those 2 seconds, right? That means you also didn't practice edging, which means pushing yourself to the brink of orgasm but pulling back, right? This might be when you want to like mess with your lover and be like, you a tease, I don't like you, get off me, right? Because they keep pushing you to the brink and bringing you back. But that also builds a more powerful orgasm, because there's more blood flow to that area. There's more time for arousal. You have more time for connectivity, and that orgasm can be more powerful. And so it's really important not to just be like, every single time, let me get in this one position, the same toy, the same spot, the same way, because you're going to train your body that that's the only way you can orgasm. And to switch it up a little bit to see like, ooh, I do like this side of my clitoris more than I like this side of my clitoris. My lover likes this side of their penis more than they like that side of their penis. If you don't know which side of your clitoris is more sensitive, you have some homework to do after this. We don't want to hear y'all, so please don't do it right now. But you have some homework to explore to figure out what parts of your vulva and what parts of your vaginal canal are more sensitive than the others, and enjoy that.
Whenever it comes to talking with your partner, whether that be a person who identifies as a male or female or non-binary, can you talk about how you can bring up kink and how you can bring up toys in the bedroom and these things without maybe making them feel like you're not satisfied, or also with helping them to step out of that comfort space of like, I'm used to this?
Mhm. So, this is my area. Use your mouth. That's why I made the use your mouth sex and relationship conversation starter cards, right? And one of the questions on the card is, what is erotic to you? And there are so many other questions in this deck. It's a full deck with like 50 questions about sex and relationships. And that's what you need to do, is you need to talk. You need to use your mouth. You need to have these types of sexual conversations. The thing that you don't want to do, right? So this is what you don't do when you want to. You might want your partner to do something different. You might want to explore. You feel like, oh my God, it's so boring. We've been doing it the same way every time. I know exactly how to make my partner orgasm. I know what they need to do to come. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tickle the balls 3 times, rub the nipple, lick the other nipple, bam, that's it. And you do that every time, and you're like, oh Lord, he about to get on top of me, or they about to get on top of me. Okay, it's about to 7, 8. At the 11th, he's gonna be done. 9, 10, 11. Okay, good. He's done. And pull out. Okay, wipe it out. And so it becomes more of a routine. And you might get so mad. I'm not in your bedroom. Trust me, son. I'm not in your bedroom. But you might get so mad that you might say, you know what? I'm just so tired of having sex the same way. No, I don't want to have sex. The reason why I don't is because I don't like it. You do want to let him know that you want better sex, but you don't want to say it like that, because when you say it like that, of course, you just shut down all communication that could possibly be beneficial to you. So you want to start off. I like to start off by talking about what I do like and then incorporating what I want to happen. For example, I'm just personally, I probably change every month. I feel sorry for my husband, but he's like, you know what, babe? Oh, last night when you were rubbing the small of my back, that really felt good. So next time we do it, or next, whatever y'all call it, next time we have sex, or next time we play balance the berry, can you get behind me? Instead of grabbing my breast, can you grab the back of my hip like you did when you were massaging me? That's that felt really good. Or you might say, I know last month I really asked you to rub my elbows. This month, I really like my breast rub. Can you do more of that? Because I think that would turn me on more. That would feel better. So basically, what you're doing is you are telling them what you do want, not what you don't like, right? So you're not saying, look, I don't like that. You want to tell them what more of what you want that gets your needs met, but not just when it's time for sex, you need to be having more regular conversations. So even in the Use Your Mouth book that I have, I talk about an intimacy checklist that couples have. Because one thing that couples, when we start talking about sex, people use the I word and they correlate the I word to sex. When I ask them, tell me about the intimacy, they'll say, oh, we have sex. And I'm like, oh, I'm not talking about just sex, because intimacy is not just sex, right? So I talk about 7 different types of intimacy in that, but most importantly, there's an intimacy inventory check in the book where you and your partner can sit down and make sure that you're intentionally having this conversation, um, just as serious as you would have any other serious conversations. Like, it don't have to be like how y'all have those regular bill conversations, your regular what's for dinner, and then there's nothing until they want sex, and then you don't want sex because that's the only time y'all talk about it is when they want it. No, you need to incorporate sexual communication more in your everyday life. And I promise you, you start talking about sex more with your partner and you start hearing what they got to say and they start hearing it, what you have to say, and y'all start applying that, you are going to see a change. The research supports that. I just told y'all during the pandemic, couples started talking about sex more and they started having better sexual experiences. So you got to use your mouth. Use your mouth.
Just to add to what Shaymra just said, the other part is I use a pleasure wheel, right? Because we've been taught if pleasure was like a baseball diamond. So, okay, I'm going to tell y'all, look, the bases are different than they were when I was growing up, right? So when I was growing up, first base was like a kiss. Second base might have been a feel on the boob, something like that. I don't know what the bases are nowadays for folks nowadays, but people have the same kind of rhythmic sex over and over and over again. We got to start here. We got to go here. We got to go here. And then maybe it ends up in this kind of peak pleasure. And I also want to note, not all people have that lifetime head thrashing over the cliff type of orgasm. For some people, it's just like, yeah, it feels good. I'm done. Are you done? Can you finish? Like, I'm good. And for some reason, we've been taught to believe that sex begins with a hard penis and ends with a penis not being hard. Right. The rest of that person's body still work. Like, everything just don't go dead. They not an animaton. Like, the rest of their body still work. Queen them. And when y'all say queening to, like, sexologists, queening to us means sitting on people's faces. So we be needing context. So when you use those words, give us some context. But in that pleasure wheel, so again, I have a bunch of worksheets as well in my own workbook. It looks like a pizza pie or an apple pie, whatever pie slice you want. And you can jump from wedge to wedge. So maybe you're going to start off with some type of penetrative act, and then you're going to go back to making out, and then you're going to have an erotic sensual massage, and that's where your sexual play ends for that day. Right? Maybe your partner is going to come as quick as they can and spend the rest of the time just pleasing their body. And especially if you've had the people's pandemic weight gained, right? If you're feeling uncomfortable with your body, you have to remember with weight gain comes more skin. And your skin is your largest sexual organ. People always say the brain. The brain is the most powerful. Your skin is the largest. And if you've gained weight, you now have more skin to tantalize. So like, babe, wait, let me see. I ain't never licked this part of you before. I want to know what this tastes like, right? You can play hide the taste, hide the sensation. I don't care what you do. Put it on your body and they can go find it. Don't put anything in your vulva. Sugar in your vulva leads to yeast infections, and people with penises can get yeast infections too. But it's more skin to tantalize. It's more skin for pleasure, to be raked, to be massaged, to be nibbled on. And we still can gain that pleasure and add play to it. And I think that's something that tends to be missed, is it can be playful. It's supposed to be a journey, not necessarily always a destination.
Thank you. When we talk about sex, some women say like, I have never had an orgasm. How normal is it for you to find the act of sex to be good and pleasurable while it's happening, but like you don't ever reach that top peak? Is that normal, or do you have anything to say about that?
It's super normal, super common. For the most part, what we know is that most people with vulvas do not orgasm from penetrative sex alone, right? So when you are having this kind of sex, it sounds like church clapping, you are likely not going to orgasm, because if this is what's happening when you're having sex, right? So this is the vagina. If a penis is just doing this, I don't know if y'all can see this, but if a penis is just doing this, it's missing this, which is the clitoral glands. Now, however, right? However, there is an internal clitoris, right? Because this is the full shape of the clitoris. So the clitoris extends 3.5 to 4 inches inside of the body. So what he can actually touch is probably this part right here, or what they can actually touch is this. So basically, this is the hood, and then this is that clitoral glands. So we still, people with vulvas, you need all of this stimulated, right? And so a lot of partners, they only go for this, the vagina, because 39% of men think that women orgasm from penetrative sex alone. And they just don't. They do not, right? So if we were looking at your vulva, I have all the stuff, huh? So if we're looking at your vulva, this is what your vulva might look like, right? I don't know if you can see this, right? And so if I turn this around, you'll see that the clitoris is inside the body. It lies inside the body, wraps around uh, the front of the vagina, around the uterus and bladder. And so you have this part right here that can be stimulated again with the reach of a hand. And so the reason why we have the orgasm gap is because most people, and when I say most, I'm not exaggerating, the research supports this. Most people don't realize and they neglect the clitoris. But even before we get to a partner, I need all of you to get acquainted with yourselves first, because your orgasm is your responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility. Don't get me wrong. We have to view sex. You need to be engaging in sex for the pleasure, right? Because it feels good to you, for the connection. The orgasm is great. It's the cherry on top. Sex can still be good without having that orgasm, but if you've not been having an orgasm and your partner's having an orgasm and they just always have an orgasm, but you're feeling left out, there's a conversation that needs to be had. There's some exploration that needs to go down, right? You need to talk about what's missing. You need to guide your partner, show them what to do. A lot of women don't realize that, right? So with the orgasm gap is the research that is in the Journal of Sexual Archives that basically says that heterosexual men orgasm almost all the time, 95% when they have sex, compared to 86% for heterosexual women. So I'm sorry, not 86%, 68%. It's 86% when women have sex with women. So that's basically what that research says. So what that shows us is that what people are forgetting about the clitoris. You can't forget about the clitoris. And that's why a lot of people aren't orgasming, is because there's not enough stimulation to the clitoris, one, but also a lot of people aren't aroused. We think foreplay is those 17 seconds of licking and sucking that happens right before they do this. And they start jugging you, or they start doing DJ booth in the clitoris is what I called it. Y'all know the DJ booth move. And then they do that like they trying to start a fire or something. Y'all know what I mean? And so foreplay is something that needs to happen all day. The more aroused you are, that determines the closer you get to orgasm. So you need to be sexually aroused. Your body needs at least minimally 20 minutes to warm up, right? So I don't know how old y'all are, but some of us are box Chevys. We not pushed to start. You got to crank us up a little bit, right? You got to, it might not go the first time, but you turn it again, right? And you got to let that thing warm up. These push to starts, you can get in those things and drive off, but you got to warm up. You got to warm these box Chevys up. So basically, a couple of things here. I know I said a lot. Need more arousal. You can't just have 17 seconds of foreplay that just includes licking, sucking, DJ booth in the clitoris. You have to become acquainted with your own body and your own clitoris so that you know what brings you sexual pleasure. You know how to orgasm. Practice, practice, practice. It's fun. Self-pleasure is fun. It's called self-pleasure. Remove the pressure to orgasm. If you are in the moment and all you're thinking about is, I'm not going to orgasm. It's not going to happen. Oh, I hope I orgasm. It's not going. Guess what? you're not going to orgasm because your brain is you telling your brain what's going to happen, and it's going to happen. You're speaking to yourselves. So you have to speak well, sis. You have to speak better, and you have to teach your partner how to please you. Yes, I know that's a whole other thing, but you do.
I'm just going to add on to a little bit
Yeah.
of that, right? And so the little bit I'm going to add on is that one, statistically, women say that they actually have better sex after their 40s, right? And really after menopause. So once all the stuff with menopause gets like under control,
Yeah.
they report having the best sex of their lives. This is why we see cougars. Because people with penises, their sexual peaks are around 28. Sex goes down after that for them. Testosterone changes. Penises can't break bricks no more. They need a sandwich and some water in between times, right? It is. But that after 40 is WAP for real. And because the statistics show it's because one, there's no longer a fear of pregnancy. And then two, women aren't afraid to advocate for what they want. So if anything, if you leave here with nothing else, empower your no, because no is a full sentence. So if they want to bring them ashy hands to your clitoris and it's dry, and they still trying to no, no sir. If they look at you and they want to spit on your genital, no, spit is not a lubricant. We have water. We have water-based lubricant right here. It's even in a warmer. You can go ahead and put your hand up under that. So no, empower your no, and also tell them what are the other things that you like and prefer. And that's okay to reorient. That last thing I'm going to tell you is in that whole arousal cycle. So a bunch of research was done by the Kinsey Institute talking about different types of arousals, right? I told you there's a person that just has a lot of pleasure and then it goes away and they're done. And there's people that can have multiple orgasms, and there's people that have one big orgasm and then they're like, don't touch me no more. All those people exist. For women specifically, desire has to exist in order to get to that peak. If there is no desire, whether self-made or whether manipulated a little bit by a lover, it's not going to happen. And when we add that spectatoring, so spectatoring is when you step outside of yourself and you be like, all right, well, they almost done, or what, I gotta fix lunch tomorrow and I still got this laundry list of things to do. Let me kegel 2 times. All right, and he about to bust. We done. So I can get up and do like what I need to do. Then sex A is no longer pleasurable, but you are guaranteed not to have an orgasm because your mind has already lost that connection to pleasure. Which is why I'm gonna claim a Caprice Classic over here on 22s, right? Riding down Old National Highway for all the people from Atlanta. Hey, Dr. Joy. But that's why the Caprice Classics need warm up and they need consistent
Dr.
check in
Joy
and
is
base.
not from Atlanta. Don't claim her.
But she in
She's
Atlanta.
one of ours.
So yeah, so you gotta stay focused and in the moment, because as soon as you lose the moment, you lose being able to grasp that peak of pleasure. Oh, see, she claimed
No,
both.
Dr. Joy, you can't claim both. No, I'm just playing.
Love it. Can we switch over and say, let's say that a couple has already looked at themselves and see if they can handle a polyamorous or a consensual a ethical non-consensual relationship. They have decided that, hey, like we're in a good place in a relationship, us both together are deciding that we want to bring another person into the bedroom or into our relationship. Can you talk about what those boundaries kind of look like? And then also, we're all grown here. If you can kind of give, I don't want to say an ideal situation, but like a description of what that looks like accurately in the bedroom, so that no one feels left out and that you're still experiencing what
But they're doing adoption events.
So that depends. There's no one answer here for polyamorous relationships. So if you don't know, a polyamorous relationship, so poly, multiple love. So it's a relationship that includes simultaneous romantic relationships. And there are so many different types of polyamorous relationships that exist. Um, and that's another one of my areas in practice. And I help couples negotiate what their relationships boundaries are in polyamorous relationships, because one of the major things about any type of non-consensual monogamous relationship or other types of consensually non-monogamous relationships are boundaries. So we need to know what the boundaries are, because no two poly relationships are the same. Some people have hierarchy, some people don't. So basically, for example, this isn't real because you know how people start rumors, but my partner and I might be in a relationship where we both date another person. And so that means that we talked about what that looks like, right? So we've talked about what type of person we're going to date, where we're going to meet this person at. We've talked about how often we're going to see this person. We've talked about what sex looks like with this person. We've talked about if we're going to be fluid bonding with this person or not, meaning if we're going to use a barrier method or condoms with this person. We're talk about if we want a partner who engages sexually with other people or has other partners. We're talking about if we are going to have other partners. So it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of using your mouth that happens in polyamorous relationships. But also, we are finding out what our partners' boundaries are as well, because their boundaries matter as well. So we're finding out what they expect from us, and we're seeing if we mesh. Now, there might be another situation where my partner has their own partner and I have no type of contact with them. They date each other, they're in their own relationship, they go out, and we are considered each other's primary partners. I might be considered my partner's metamor. Or there might be another situation where my partner and I both have other relationships, right? And the people we date have other relationships. And it's just so many different layers that could happen. And in the bedroom, it's the same way. Communication happens, right? It's basically what you want to happen. I say all hands, all mouths on deck. I'm just kidding. But if you can understand, it's basically a whole lot of communication, a whole lot of boundary setting that's happening. And it just looks different for everyone.
So I'll add to that because I tend to frequent Poly Dallas Millennium, which is Ruby Bowie Johnson's Black Polyamory Conference, which is amazing. And so what I teach and my specialty in working with lovers and loverships is how to build, create, maintain, and perpetuate intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I mean the ability to be honest rather than just truthful. Right? And so people tend to think those are the same thing. Truth is, this is what happened, this is how I see it, right? But honesty brings in a level of vulnerability with that truth of saying, yeah, I saw what happened, but I was feeling really insecure when you were looking at her and it made me feel unwanted. That's honesty. That is the vulnerability. And so when I'm talking to couples, I will say the number one rule is another person in your relationship ain't gonna save your relationship, whether that be a baby, a dog, a house, a car, or another lover. They not gonna help y'all do any better for y'all. So we like to know that you are able to be honest with one another, because polyamory and opening up this relationship means that you're gonna have to do so much more communication. You're gonna have to talk so much more negotiation. I remember I told you at the beginning, self-sacrifice does not equal goodness. Well, my partner wants to be open. In order to keep my partner, I'm going to, go ahead and be open. And that is the quickest path to resentment that I have ever seen. So we don't do that because that's not being honest. Also, we have to remember that monogamy is definitely a colonizer concept. That's not of us. That's not of most indigenous places. So people will poo-poo it, right? Because traditional Christian values, traditional American values say one person is supposed to be enough for the other person. Love doesn't ever detract. It always amplifies. Always. It always builds, right? The opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. And so if you're creating and manifesting more care for someone, if that's what you all want to do, then figure out the ways, boundaries, and needs that have to be met. If Wednesday dinner is y'all's time, then Wednesday dinner, we not out with our other lover. Wednesday dinner, we got our butts at home for Wednesday dinner because that's what we agreed on. And you feel like you can actually trust the person to follow through with that, right? So in building those polyamorous relationships, I say you gotta learn how to be honest with your intimacy. And then we start to build out what it might look like from there. And another resource I like is, I think it's Building Open Relationships by Dr. Liz Powell. And so that's a great workbook that asks you some really hard questions on what it means for you all, especially when we talk about bringing families in the mix and people having children and what we're going to tell grandma at Christmas. Like, there are a whole bunch of factors that you have to key in, but everybody's polyamory does look different. And we're not going to poo-poo one or honor another.
Absolutely. That was a good, well-rounded explanation from both of you, and hopefully that helps anyone that's interested in digging into that more, that they'll take those resources and really try and build what they are looking for within their relationship. On a part of that as well, I would love to know if you're interested in going to speak with a sexologist about, you know, considering these things or just increasing your sexual confidence or anything. Would you go to like your sexologist 1 week and then go to your regular therapist, or would you do one at a time, or would they be the same person?
So that depends. Sexologists come in way, shape, and form. And full disclosure, I'm the vice president of membership of the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. So that being said, and I'm also a member of the Women of Color Sexual Health Network. And that's actually who I want to talk about, WACSHN. Many of us do multiple things. So for instance, my license is in marriage and family therapy. My certification and my doctorate are in education of sexuality. So I get to do both. I get to educate because I know how to do that and I've been taught how to do that, and I hold a license in therapy. Some folks are just therapists, and therapists tend to do that deeper work, and you can be restrained by licensure because we're licensed by state. So I love y'all, but if you live in Alabama, I'm not licensed in Alabama and I can't see you. I am licensed in Pennsylvania and Missouri, and I look cute in orange, but I'm not trying to go to jail because they will snatch my license and send me to jail. And I got a bail fine, but I don't know how much they would tax that. So we are licensed and we are bound by state. Now, sexuality educators are not. And so the Women of Color Sexual Health Network has a bunch of sexuality educators. And you can go and find a sexuality educator because we are not bound by state. But that work will not be therapeutic work. It's not going to go back to your childhood. It's not going to work deep with trauma. It's not going to be that kind of therapy go to pieces type of work. It's going to be more solution focused. It's going to ask you some questions. We use a model called the PLICIT model, which means that we're going to look for permission. We're going to get permission from you. We're going to get some limited information, and we're going to give you some specific suggestions for you to try out. Now, if we do those specific suggestions and find that, ooh, that's not enough, there's some trauma that you need to deal with, a responsible sexuality educator, like the ones at WACSHN, are going to send you to a therapist, right? Same with a sex coach. And I want to remind you that we come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. So there's educators, but there are cuddlers who are professional that will professionally cuddle you for a fee and hold you tight and snug and just the way you need it for however long you need it. We have professional sex workers who are also counselors, like Jet Set and Jasmine, and who is also a dom. And so if you want to go and work out some of your dom fantasy stuffs, you can hire a sub to do that. You can hire somebody to dom you professionally so you can get that pleasure. So you can do all of those because all of those fall within our wheelhouse to also keep you safe sexually, right? We're not out to be predators. If you're getting red flags and creepy vibes from somebody, get out of there. That's not where you're supposed to be. Right? If they don't know somebody else, if they're not connected to other sexuality professionals, them ain't the people for you. Go ahead and back that off. But we come in so many shapes, sizes, and arrays and specialties. So there is a distinct difference in how we can practice. But if you ask one of us, we'll probably know someone who can meet your needs too.
Whenever you were just talking about the professional cuddler, I was thinking of that young man who does the videos that everybody always shares on. What the heck is this? He's giving the woman a massage, and it's like the exact massage I want my man doing in the bedroom, because this massage is like touching every part of her body and getting her engaged, and she's like half naked on the table. And
love
people are
them.
like, what the heck? But I was thinking about that is that there are actually people that you can pay to do these things. I'm not sure about him because I didn't look
But no,
into
he's not a
it.
professional cuddler.
Okay. I was thinking
I don't even think he's a professional massage therapist. I think he does these sensual types of massages. And I know that there is a person that I know who does these massages, and some of them come with a little extra bang for your buck if you pay for it. So y'all might want to be careful when you're getting these massages, and if you do, safety. But he has no Dr. Joy. He ain't got no certifications or licenses. He just got some good hands, some music, and some oil. Or
I'm
like
about
they
to say
say,
lots of
rolling
grease.
some
It be
Earl,
looking so
Dr. Lex.
greasy.
Lots of Earl,
So
Dr.
Earl.
Lex.
Come on, Nolan. I love it.
and thank you for
Baton
keying
Rouge.
us in so we don't have any sisters out here thinking they're getting a real massage therapist.
Yeah, so to add to what Dr. Lex said, also, I'm also a licensed clinician and I'm a sex therapist as well. Look for my app, Dr. Lex. Also, I want people to know that professional and licensed sexuality professionals cannot touch you. So no, we're not going to be, when we say we teach people how to use their vulva and stuff like that, we have this type of stuff in the office and we give them exercises to do. And we have what we call, I give my clients pleasure maps, right? That they fill out. But we ain't touching y'all. We're not gonna touch you. We'll tell you how to touch yourself and you'll tell us, some of the things, but we won't touch you. As Dr. Lex mentioned in the comments, that's called a sexual surrogate. And that's a thing too. And sexual surrogates, I really appreciate sexual surrogates because sexual surrogates provide services to those people who are bound, like maybe to their homes, or who are differently abled, and they might not be able to get out and experience the type of sexual behaviors or the type of sexual relationships that many of us are privileged to experience. And so they get to experience a sexual surrogate who is able to help them reenact or enact out a fantasy, but also provide them with some sexual pleasure. And that's amazing.
And so I use sexual surrogates also for social learning. So people who might be on the Asperger's spectrum or the autism spectrum, which got really popular in the early 2000s, they actually help folks with that socialization of how do I flirt, or what does it look like, or what type of touch does this imbue? How do I learn how to touch a person? And so a sexual surrogate can also do that work. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual intercourse at all, but they help people with those types of skills around sexuality. And so they're a valued tool for us.
That's really good that you both brought that up, because I think it is important for us to know that everyone is not ethical. So it is a good reminder that people might be thinking, oh, I'm at a sexologist and they said that they're going to show me. No, that is not what should be happening in that space. So thank you.
Well, not a sexologist, because there are, like Dr. Lex said, there are so many people now who call themselves sexologists. We're talking specifically about the people who call themselves or who are licensed sex therapists. We can't touch you. But some people who are sexologists might be a sexual surrogate, and they might consider themselves a sexologist, because sexology is like an umbrella term. It's a very broad term.
And is there any kind of like certification or anything for someone who just considers themselves a sexologist?
Oh, there's even a doctorate in sexology. However, it's not a protected title like social worker or family therapist. It's not necessarily a protected title. So people can literally call themselves a sexologist because they like talking about sex. Well, guess what you can do? You can Google them or you can ask us, because we might know if they're legit or not.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about talking dirty. So I know that some of the conversations we've had within the sister circle in this community, people are like, I just feel so awkward dirty talking, or talking at all during sex, or flirting during like text messages throughout the day. What advice do you have for getting more comfortable with having those kind of conversations and being vocal during sex?
So keep it simple, silly. Like kiss. Keep it simple. right? You don't have to be like, "Ooh, I can't wait to throw it back and wrap my anus around." Like, you don't have. It's team too much, y'all. You don't have to do that. What we can do is, you remember that thing you did with your tongue? I really like that. That's dirty talk. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. That is dirty talk. I really, really like this. Oh, can you do that a little bit? I want to hear it. I love it when my breasts jiggle when you're behind me. Like, all of that is dirty talk. You can just be descriptive. You don't have to create, like, I want to be your cum slut and gallon guzzler. Look, it don't have to be that way. It might be too much. She'd be like, oh, what's she been watching? I ain't know. Now he intimidated, or your other lover is intimidated, and she like, what Gawk Gawk 3000 she talking about? I don't even know what this is. So keep it simple, silly. So whatever it is, you can be easily descriptive, and that can be really, really sexy. You also don't have to be super loud. You can change the intonation of your voice, have it be soft, have it be something that is just whispered into an ear. It doesn't have to be at porn level screams. As my mom used to say, nobody wants to be banged into a headboard, right? It can be something soft. It can be like, oh, I really can't wait to have you inside me. And that can be as simple as possible. But it doesn't have to be like, yes, I'm going to hang from a chandelier and ride your ass tonight. Like, we can bring it on down and just keep it simple, silly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But also some people, they're like, oh, that sounds really good, but I don't think I'm ready to use my mouth. I don't think I'm ready to say it out loud. And so what I like to recommend people to do is text it. Use text messaging to do it. Oh, I can't wait till you get home so I can see you when you get out the shower. That's dirty talk. I actually, if you go to my website on the Green Couch to my media features, I have some articles, I think with, I don't want to say the wrong name, but you'll see how to talk dirty. I don't want to say the wrong person's name, Mercy, but you'll see one of the articles. You could text it, you could send a voice record, like Dr. Lexx was showing you how to use use your voice differently. You can record it on a voice, or people like doing all kind of stuff on TikTok. I'm not telling you put this on TikTok, but make a video and send it to your partner of you talking dirty. So, or send them a song that has some sexual lyrics in it, or a clip from a movie, or a line from a movie that has some sexual lyrics. So you don't have to go full Mr. Marcus or Wesley Pipes. Y'all know I don't know if y'all know who Wesley Pipes is, but you don't have to go full Wesley Pipes. You could just be you. I tell people this all the time: use your voice. You don't have to say things that you wouldn't do or that you normally wouldn't do. You say the things that feel comfortable to you. If you know you won't say what Dr. Lexx just said, don't say that. But if you usually say, oh, I can't wait to feel your lips on mine, that's dirty talk, because that's you. And that's what your partner knows. Now, if you want to venture off, then you could definitely send that video licking ice cream like Yolanda just wrote. If you want to venture off, then definitely venture off and say, oh, I'm feeling a little wild tonight. I really want to put this ice on your balls and put a hose cough drop in my mouth and then do the Gawk Gawk 3000. You might freeze them, but if that's where, if that's what you're feeling like at the moment, then.
I also want to add that dirty talk can also be praise, right? So it doesn't always have to be what somebody's doing or what behavior you want, but I also be like, oh, you're doing such a good job. Keep that up. Don't stop. Did I tell you to stop?
Don't do that, y'all. Because if you do that, you're gonna be finished and you're gonna be mad. I'm telling you right now. If you want them to finish quickly, take Dr. Lexx's advice. I'm telling you right now. Because once you start giving them that praise, then they start hearing that and that ego.
So we just awakened a couple of brats with a praise kink. Yeah, right now. So a couple people are like, I'm kinky with okay, I want to be called a good girl too. Like, how do I deserve that? With a nice head stroke. So that just awakened. You might be a little brat and a little subby. Welcome to the kink world, if that did appeal to you.
Yolanda is asking about the Vicks. I've never done it with the cough drop, but I have done it with the Listerine mouthwash. So I'm not sure if you wanted to not
Don't do it with a
only.
cough drop. I don't mean, you put a cough drop in your mouth while you are giving oral sex. I mean the menthol. So you get like stuck on a cough drop, and it's the coolness from your mouth and on the penis, specifically the glands of the penis and on the shaft of the penis. It feels cool for people. It provides a cooling sensation for some people. The Listerine strips that you put on your tongue, you could use those as well for the same effect. If you have toothpaste or a mouthwash, as Jasmine said, you could use that as well. So basically, you let it sting your mouth real quick, swish it around 60 seconds till it, while it's burning. Then you go ahead and you do your gawk gawk. You put your mouth, and then what you could also add different sensations. So you could use your nose to blow while you're doing it, while you're going up and down. You could breathe through your mouth while you're doing it. That provides different sensations. If you blow, it's a different sensation from breathing. And and it provides cooling to warm sensation. And that's kinky. That's what we just talked about. Kink, that's kinky. That's a form of sensation play. And as Dr. Lexx said, we never, ever, ever want to use anything that numbs any part of our bodies. You could definitely get hurt doing that. So I know people like to use that spray because they want to gag. Sorry, they don't want to gag and they want to deep throat. Don't do that. You be done broke all your esophagus up trying to do not numb
look,
your
the
throat.
dentist knows. The dentist knows y'all been sucking dick. So please don't go in there with your tonsils sore, because they know. Right, and that's what the chloroseptic does. And same with the whole anal ease, the lidocaine. Right, pain is there to tell you that something is wrong. Right, and it's not the good pain. It's not like the pain that's right on the sensory of the brain. It's like, oh, this is really close and crossing over. This is the pain that says, oh no, this is a tear, right? And now you got to explain to your dentist or to your ear, nose, and throat how come you got a gash in the back of your throat and your epiglottis is having problems. We're not, and I'm not paying a hospital bill for y'all because we didn't talk about Gok 3000s. So please don't use that.
I told you not to do it, okay? I'm going on record saying I told you not to do it. Don't mess that uvula up back there, okay? Don't do it. We don't need you to get no strap, none of that.
So speaking of sensations, when I just like kind of started to explore a little bit more, things that I really enjoyed was those hot wax candles. They have ones that are like a specific temperature for your body, and utilizing that. And that's not just with like a male partner. That is with anyone. And if no one has ever done that, I definitely recommend it. Make sure you don't have like a lot of hair right there. But that is definitely something that I thought was cool. And they have those toys that you can put in the freezer, and then like you were doing with your earrings, like run them over your body. So I love that you're just kind of normalizing that, like all of these little things that maybe you're already doing, like that's part of kink. Come on to a community and let's talk about it.
Jasmine, I'm getting the kinky vibe from you. I just want you to know, I know you're moderating and you asking these questions and you are very professional and you're doing your thing, Jasmine, but I'm picking up on it. And so I just want to piggyback off of what you said about the wax, because wax play is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Okay. So basically it's fun, it's great, it's amazing, but there's specific wax that you cannot use on your skin and are not body safe. So what Jasmine just mentioned are specific candles that are specifically for wax play. They burn at a lower temperature. They're not the Bath and Body Works candles that are now on sale right now. You can't use those. You don't want to use any household stuff. You could even use a birthday candle. It burns at a lower temperature. You could use a crayon if you wanted to just experience that, or if you really don't want to move into the wax, you could get a candle that's a massage candle. It's specifically soy based, and you could use that and it burns. And there's a way that you burn a wax candle, and I have some, but I'm just I don't have them right here. They're over there. But basically, you want to hold them up after you light them. When you go on the website and get the Doc Johnson, the wax candles, and they come in different colors sometimes, and you hold them up at least 6 to 10 inches from this area that you want the candle wax to drip on, just to feel how hot it is when you do that. because we can't have you going to work burned up because with these burns on you, third degree burns, talking about, and I went to the sex positive September with therapy for Black girls, and they told me to burn a candle on me, and now my skin is gone. No. So yes, those are the ones, the Doc Johnson, and I think they might even be cheaper on the Love Honey website too, if you go there, and they have different ones there. So you could use it, you could use the candles. Those are great to use, but start off slow and start off high. The higher you are, the lower the temperature of the candle. The closer you are to the skin, the more it stings. And does it, people always want to know, does it hurt? Does it really burn? It's, it does burn. It's wax, it's hot, right? But it doesn't burn you to the point where you need to go to the hospital, right? It causes a very pleasurable sting for those of you who are
They
into
know they used to stick
that
their
type
fingers
of
in hot wax
sensation play.
and candles.
Yeah, how, you know, don't do that though. So
No,
yeah, so
not those
basically
candles.
that's what you would do with the hot wax. And you might want to look at, I always recommend people doing their research. So reading up, getting more information, looking at videos of people doing it. There are some very cool videos and pictures of what the afterthought looks like. And also, please don't burn the wax on your genitals, especially if you have hair on your mons, because that wax gonna get stuck in there, and then you're gonna have to cut it out, and you don't want to you don't want to do all of that, right? It Listen, if you don't burn, and then you don't want your vulva to burn either. You don't need to burn your vulva, and you also don't want any wax to drip near the vaginal opening. So we will definitely share your Twitter stories, because that's what we do.
So, to Jasmine's other point, I want to talk a little bit about that other temperature plate. So, if we're leaning from the hot to the cool, you might consider glass. So, glass toys. There are glass anal beads, there's glass dildos, there's even glass Kegel cheaters. So, you put them in the freezer for a bit, and glass holds heat or it holds cold. So not to a point where you're not going to wet it and put it in. That's a good chance for frostbite, right? You're going to warm it in between your hands, and then you can use that glass wand or those glass anal beads to wait until your body will actually warm them up too with play. There's a thing, Dr. Berman's ISIS is a tool that I like for people who are practicing with their Kegels. So people tend to practice Kegels where you just squeeze and release and squeeze and release. Stop doing that, because your endurance is probably trash, right? We're going for endurance, not necessarily strength. And it needs to be like an elevator. So you're supposed to squeeze, 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 relax, squeeze, 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 relax. There are actually Kegel calendars in your apps. You're not supposed to do it for 50 minutes a day to like one song while you were sitting at your desk. Nobody should see you doing your Kegels. They should not know. This means you're flexing your buttocks and not your actual pelvic floor muscles. But also talk to your OBGYN, because not everybody needs to do Kegels. Some people already have high pelvic floor tonnage. If you have cramps when you orgasm, you more than likely are having high pelvic floor tonnage. If you get that anal cramp, that sharp one, right, every time you orgasm, that because your whole pelvic floor is actually orgasming, and you might have high and tight pelvic floor tonnage. Kegels might not be the best for you. If you're a person that pees a little bit every time they sneeze because you didn't have some babies, or because you've been out here not doing Kegels your whole life, right? Maybe Kegels are for you. That makes sense, because it helps with bladder, but it also helps with making more powerful orgasms too. So you can use temperature play on the cold side as well. So ice, but also cold glass toys, cold Kegel balls. So they're balls that you actually can insert into you and rock back and forth and masturbate, because they hit the G-spot and they're cold and give you a nice cooling sensation, especially like add a sundress in the summertime. Have a great time. But it's another way that you can start to engage with tools that exist and already are made and are body safe. So you're not just like, let me freeze this cucumber right quick. Don't do that. Get a glass or a heavy glass silicone mix toy that you can use. And they also get really, really slippery with lubricant. So they can be a lot of fun.
Yes, and Dr. Lex, and to Dr. Lex's point about your pelvic floor. So now that Dr. Lex has told us and taught us, You don't have to go out and buy this stuff that people tell you need to buy to tighten your vagina. We don't need a tight pelvic floor. Our pelvic floor doesn't need to be tight, it needs to be toned. Okay. Like she said, we need endurance. We don't need, yeah, you don't need all this yoni tightening. We don't need a tight. Mm-mm. We can have elasticity inside the vagina. It's supposed to stretch a little bit. It's not, I promise you, it's not too big. I promise you. You don't need to buy this stuff that you put inside and they tell you, oh, be a virgin again. Why? Why? Is that pleasurable to you? Or are you doing that for a partner? We need toned, not tight.
I love how whenever, like, this goes back to our beginning of like having these conversations with your partner or having more fun with your sexual experience is when you have more toys and options and kink related stuff and outfits. Then it kind of gives you more time to lead up to it, because I got to get all this out the closet and then we got to talk about what we want to. So then that can really just increase the time that we can have in the bedroom and not just rush it. So definitely thank you for all of the suggestions. One of my favorite conversations to bring to Black women, because I feel like they failed us when we were growing up, is anal toys and anal play, and how there is, nerve endings and pleasure in our anus. So I would love to talk to you about the anatomy of our anus, and then why it's pleasurable, and some of the best toys that we can use to get started.
So I can start here, right? So the anus is packed with a bunch of nerve endings. And there's actually 2 sphincter muscles, so 2 closed doors, all right? It's not just one, there's actually 2. And so you do want to make sure that you're eating okay. And you do want to make sure that you have defecated, cleaned your system out. If you're having the running stomach, today ain't the day to do anal play, okay? Like, that's okay. Relax, it's fine, right? The reason why anal play feels good is it feels good to poop. It feels good to let that go. If you're having really hard poops, eat more vegetables, figure out what's going on with your fiber. But it should feel like a pleasurable experience. And those same do activate as well. The thing is, the anus does not make its own lubricant. It's not like the vaginal canal. So it's not going to be like, let me get juicy for you because this is exciting. You have to add a lubricant. Water-based or even silicone-based are ideal. Not silicone-based if you're going to use a silicone type toy. But if you're going to use that cool glass toy, that's fine. When you are using a toy in the anus also acts like a vacuum. They call it a chute. There has to be a flared base. It has to be something larger than the anus so it'll bump up against it. So it cannot go up the butt. There is a list every year that comes out that says things that people got stuck in their butts this year. A light bulb, a tube of toothpaste. Please don't be on that list because I will talk about you. I'm going to talk about you. Use a flared base, right? And when it comes to anal play, start small, right? Maybe we're just going to start with a finger, right? And we're going to pulse that finger and see how that feels. And again, this ain't an ashy knuckle finger, okay? This is a manicured, we ain't got no sharp, jagged, rusty nails. We don't have no dirt and earwax up under these nails. It is lubricated, and it's not like, oh, I hawked up the good mucus in the back of my throat lubricant. No, this is a water-based or silicone-based lubricant on the finger as well as on the anus. And you're also doing other pleasurable things while this is going on. Right? So it's not just like, come on, turn over, let me stick it in your butt. Like, no, I'm not ready for that. I need some warming up. I need to relax those pelvic floor muscles, right? I love to say, if you're going to try this out, and specifically if you're going to try it out with something that's penetrative, like a penis or a strap, then try it in positions where you can control the depth and the speed, right? So this isn't going to be you tied with your ankles to the headboard and having the fan cut the back of your heels so they can go ham on your butt. We're not doing that. You need to be able to control, right? So spooning and side to side works. right? If you want to try rear entry where you're doing like a reverse cowgirl, but you are lifting up, they're not trying to come up to meet you and slam into you. You want to have control to what feels good. The depth, the quickness, and the slickness are going to all be within your purview as you control.
Oh, I love that. So when we talk about flare bases, right? This ain't no flare base. So even though this is a sex toy, this can't go in your butt. When we talk, I should have brought it. When we talk about flare bases, think of an upside down lamp, right? So it has something that's gonna stop it from getting sucked up in your butt. That's basically what we're talking about. And I always stress the importance of lube. Like you need too much lube when you're doing anal sex. You need a partner who is going to go slow. You need communication. You need to talk. You also, like Dr. Lex said, you can't just focus on the anus. You got to do other stuff. So while you might need to bring your toys to the party so that you can stimulate other parts of the body, bring buku lube, extra lube, right? Bring extra, extra, extra lube. Some people love the more silicone base because they're more slippery. So, but if you're using a toy, don't use the silicone base. Um, and I just wanted to stress the importance of using lube because a lot of people say that anal sex hurts. Sex, anal sex, penis and vagina sex, oral sex, none of that sex needs to hurt. It's not supposed to hurt. If something is hurting, that means that we need to back out and reassess and see what's going on. So it could possibly be uncomfortable because this is something different, this is something new, and this is a vacuum, like Dr. Lex said. So you can't go the first time you try, you might not get a whole penis in the butt. But to answer your question, Jasmine, whenever we have this conversation, I'm not going to say whenever, but a lot of times when we have this conversation in the Black community, people used to say, "Oh no," they go back to that white people stuff, right? So that's what white people do when people are ashamed about having anal sex, and when men say that they enjoy anal sex, specifically in our communities of color and Black communities, they are considered to be gay, or it's a lewd that they have. And there is no such thing as gay sex. Pleasure is pleasure. People like to feel good. And for a lot of people, anal sex feels good. And for a lot of men, they have very intense orgasms when their prostate is stimulated and their prostate is there. So if you are stimulating that process, if you heard of milking, some men even orgasm when they go to see their urologist, not orgasm, but they ejaculate when they see their urologist when they're getting their prostate stimulated, and they are embarrassed, but they're not told that this is a thing that might happen. It happens when you stimulate that area. But if you have any medical issues, hemorrhoids or anything like that, you definitely you might want to skip. You don't want to aggravate any of your medical issues. If you want to just try it out, because like I said, the first time it might not work. There are toys that you could use, right? There are very small toys. There's also a lube applicator specifically for the anus. You put it in there, it's on the Love Honey's website, and it puts the lube inside of your butt, and it makes it easier for you to experience that. There are different types of butt plugs that you could use that some people try to use before they actually even use the penis. They'll use very small butt plugs, and there are different size butt plugs. All butt plugs have flare bases. There are some that vibrate. So there are so many different types or different ways for you to kind of, some people call it anal training, for you to kind of get into anal training or getting yourself ready. If I would recommend that if you want to have, anal sex, you talk to your partner about it, right? And you talk to them about, I'm thinking about that we try going to the back door, going through the back door tonight. What are you thinking, right? And so you want to plan that, because I'm a whole Let's Schedule Sex person, and I talk about how to do that in my book. But you definitely want to have that conversation so that y'all will know what to expect. Because again, it it might not go the way that you think it might go. You want to go slow, like Dr. Lex said, and just enjoy the pleasure in it. Enjoy the exploration. Keep trying.
And I want to add, I think Yolanda brought it up in the chat talking about like fissures and hemorrhoids, which Shaymra got to as well, right? So fissures could be tears, which means burning sensation, uncomfortable when you're having that penetration or when you're trying to defecate. But also, there's a thing that is likely to happen if you're not doing anal sex when you're ready, which is called anal prolapse. And so the words that the colloquialism is a pink sock because the anus can collapse on whatever object is penetrating it and be slightly pulled out of the anus as well. And so we don't want that to happen. This is why you go slow. This is why you don't start with super mega huge things, right? And this is why you also have your no empowered of like, nope, this hurts. I don't like this. Let's try something different. Also, there are some really cute bug plugs, okay? They have different jewels. So while you're queening and sitting on a face, like they could see a jewel, I don't know. But they have all sorts of fun ones. And the reason why anal play is actually so pleasurable is because it gets to the G spot, right? So the P spot for people with penises, the prostate, but also the G spot, which is can be felt through the vaginal wall and also through the anal wall. And so it's a way to have some of those kind of deeper orgasms, and that's why they call it anal orgasms as well. And even for prostates and prostate play, people report feeling orgasm but not ejaculating. So there won't be anything, but it's a way that they can feel multiple orgasms without having an ejaculation accompanied with it too.
And that's why a lot of people with vulvas and vaginas like double penetration, because you can feel the G spot, which we think is a part of the clitoris. You can feel that from both ends.
Absolutely. So the last question that I have before we do a little bit of Q&A, what are your recommendations for the best toys for two partners that are clitoris owners and then a clitoris owner with a penis owner? What are the best toys for them to use, you think?
I think it's the one they like best. So, toys are it's it's hit or miss. So I went through this phase personally where that rabbit that Dr. Lex talked about, I had got that rabbit with them hard balls in it, and that it was a it was I threw it away. I threw it in the trash. So it's basically something that you might want to explore with your partner, because two partners who both have clitorises, they might they might enjoy different types of vibrating toys. They might enjoy strap-ons. It all depends on what type of pleasure. If you want penetration added, if you just want clitoral stimulation, there are all different types of bullets to try on each other. Listen, there are so many different options. It depends on, one, you need to know what do you want to experience with this? Do you want, like I said, penetration? Do you want, yeah, that rabbit hurts, girl. And so the wand is one of the most popular toys. And now what's even more popular are the pleasure air toys. So like the robe somebody talked about, and there are other different types of pleasure air toys that mimic sucking on the clitoris. So people like those, no matter if they have another clitoral owner partner or not, but wines are super popular. This is the Vush, and this is from Love Honey. This is the one that was on Cardi B's Up video. So this is the one that Cardi B had in that video. Um, so it's a good one. It says you're the queen on it. It's okay. But the wand is always going to be my go-to. And I have the one that you plug in. But also, if your partner has a penis and they want some action, you could always get a cock ring. This is a vibrating cock ring. So basically, this cock ring, you push this, you pull this over the base of the penis, and it restricts the blood flow, helping the penis to stay harder. But also, this part vibrates on the clitoris. So it provides clitoral stimulation, and he also feels this vibration, or the penis owner also feels this vibration as well. So it just depends. I mean, that's what we do sometimes. That's what Goody Howard does. If you don't know Goody Howard, get to know Goody, because Goody knows all things sex toys, and Goody will be able to help you find what works for you. Ask Goody on all social medias. AskGoody is my internet cousin, even though we have the same last name. We are not related, but her website is there. But Goody has all the goodies. Okay.
So I was gonna say, Ask Goody. Ask Goody also has a Sex Toy Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and so reviews different types of sex toys. But so my favorite for clitoris owners are, and for lovers in general, are the like wearable vibrators that have a remote control and or an app. I think it's a great way to say, hey, I'm thinking about you over Christmas dinner, right? I think it's a way to be kind of sneaky and fun when you got to take the kids out to a playground and don't nobody know what's going on between you and your lover at that time. As long as your lover does use it. I have had one couple once upon a time that one person was wearing it and the other person never used the remote. But as long as they remember that it's there, I think it's a great way to say, buzz, buzz, can't wait to get you later tonight. And for people with penises, and people who are performing things on these penises, this is what people will call a pocket pussy or a stroker. They have various types of these. There's a Tenga egg. Goody has the Miss Tootsie, but these are actually ribbed and have striations on the inside. And so if you're a person with a sensitive gag reflex that's performing oral sex on a penis, you can slide this on and then just put your mouth at the tip. So you are gagging, but it can go back and forth. And the other fun thing is you can close one end while the penis is in this end, and it creates a suction as well, going back and forth. And so that can be a really fun, pleasurable sensation too. And like these things are pretty elastic. If somebody's penis is bigger than this and they are not making millions of dollars in porn, you should redirect their lives. But a penis sleeve of some sort, I think it cuts down on some work, can be a fun, playful tool. Doesn't necessarily feel as intimidating as other like phallic type devices, where sometimes people might feel ego threatened with certain sex toys because they're not able to do the same thing. And we teach that sex toys are just pleasure enhancers, and they're in your control to help us enhance the pleasure. If a lover says, well, I don't want you to feel that much pleasure, dump them. They're not the lover for you. We need to figure out why they're trying to inhibit your pleasure and only get their own. But a penis sleeve like this and the different types of striations, they have all sorts. They also have one that just does the suction and vibration by itself. Like it's hands-free. And so that's a fleshlight, and it has an accompaniment that you can attach to the fleshlight, and it will do the sucking and driving motion by itself. So it's also just a good masturbator for people with penises.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into our Q&A. Morgan, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Put it in the chat box.
Okay. How do you have pleasurable casual sex if you don't have a consistent or the same partner every time? Is it possible? Is it realistic to expect satisfying pleasure every time in that situation?
Absolutely. Yep. Yes. I think it is very realistic because you know what you want, right? You are, come on, glasses, I see you.
Look, I was like, oh, I can't see these questions.
I think that once you know your body and what helps you get there, and you've empowered your no, but also empowered your yes, right? Because Black girls aren't taught to say yes. We're not given permission to say yes. So yes, I think you're saying, hey, I really like it this way. And it's a conversation you're going to have before you're actually like in the throes of passion, right? Like, hey, what do you like in the bedroom? I'm really kind of feeling this. I think I would like to have sex with you. Tell me more about your sex game, right? And you're going to learn, like, I really like this. I really like this. And once they stop doing things that you like, you can stop the sex. You don't have to keep going with sex that isn't pleasurable. I don't care if you butt naked covered in silicone lube. If you're like, oh, I'm good, then that's the end of it, and you can go out. Like, hypothetically, if somebody does something that turns you off, they try and, like, I don't know, go down on you with a peppermint in their mouth or something. What are you doing? No, please spit that out. You're going to give me a yeast infection. I'm not into that. And if they're not willing to negotiate and they're not willing to listen, then that means that they're not a safe person to have casual sex with. So absolutely, you are in charge of your orgasm and your pleasure. And as long as you are facilitating that with a person who is willing to listen and work with you, then yes, you can have pleasurable casual sex every single time.
Thank you, Brian. Unmute for us. I can't hear you.
This is the second time I've done that today. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Dr. Lexx and Jasmine and Shaymra. Is that how you pronounce your name, Shaymra? So I have a question. So I guess I would say, like, there's a guy that I'm dating, and you know, we've kissed a few times and kind of get like all hot and bothered or whatever, but that's like the only, that's how far it goes. But like, I want to know, like, how do I bring up to him in a conversation, like, you know, I want to have sex with you. Like, how would I even like bring that up? Yeah, so that's kind of like my question there.
So you want to know how to use your mouth, right? So basically, how do you use your mouth with this person? How long have you say you've been? Is this how long?
Well, I've known him for about like maybe like a month and a half now. But like, we only kissed. We haven't done anything else. But
Okay. So this is a great opportunity for you to start talking about your sexual boundaries. If you are becoming curious about having sexual conversations with him, this could be, for a lot of people, bringing up sex could be taboo. And it's like, how do I start this? What do I need to know about them sexually, right? And so you can even start there when you are talking to this person about sex. You could say, you know, I've been wanting to bring up the topic of sex with you, and I've been feeling a little anxious about that. Are you okay with talking about sex? Because sometimes I feel a little anxious about it. Are you okay with having conversations about sex, right? And so you really want to see what their response is, and then you ask your questions. I have the cards for you, and but also there's some you can get an immediate download with the Dating in 2019 download workbook that I have on my website on thegreencouch.com. It has some scripts that you can go through when you're dating to help you bring up the conversation about sex, to help you figure out when you want to have sex with this person. So you might want to, thank you, Cynthia, you might want to start a question with, I tell people to always start their question with, what does sex mean to you? You know, start with asking them that. What does sex even mean to you? And you have your answer to, what does sex mean to you as well? Have your answer about what does sex mean, because what that question will give, the answer to that question will let you know if you need to talk to this person ever again, because you want to know what you want them to have sexual boundaries, or you want them to know what your sexual boundaries are, right? And so you want to know what the answer to that question is. What does sex mean to you, right? So what you don't want to do is start asking people like, how many people you had sex with? Because you don't want them asking you your number, right? So we don't do sex numbers. More importantly, we talk about sexual boundaries. What does it mean to be sexually safe, right? So when would you like what's a good time? Do you have a time constraint on when you have sex with people? Do you initiate sex? Do you have a problem with people who don't initiate sex, right? So you just basically start asking questions that are open-ended that'll give you a bigger or better answer, a better response, but help you learn more about this person and who they are sexually. Because once you have these questions, you get an idea of what type of sexual experiences they had. But also you want to ask them about like sexual pleasure. Like, how would you know if your partner in the past was sexually pleased? That's more important to you than how many people they had sex with. And what are your current sexual boundaries? If we decided to have a sexual relationship, are you comfortable with getting tested, or how soon would you like for us to get tested?
Perfect. Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
And so the other part to that, because those are great, really overarching and covering questions, is the next time you guys end up making out, be like, whew, that is so hot. I think I want to do more. Where are you with that? Right? Because consent is always sexy. Right?
Always.
Even before y'all send these sexy TikTok videos, be like, hey babe, I want to send you a not safe for work video. Can I send it? They be like, hold on, let me get 15 minutes by myself. I'm gonna go on break right now. All right, send me the video. You get that FaceTime bleep like, hey, where you at? Don't even send a video. Just show me live, right? So get the consent first. But be like, I am so turned on right now. I've just been thinking about doing more with you. Where are you with that? What do you think about that? And it starts to open that conversation. And again, we're not going to do this like mid slob down, they on your neck. You'd be like, you know what? Hold on, right? So get your pleasure and enjoy it. But then using Shaymra's workbook and also using those questions too are going to help you figure out, like, do I want to have sex with this person? Are you going to care about my pleasure? Is that going to be a priority? Do you know what you like? So we can both have a mutually good time.
I am taking all the notes for my children when they ask me these things, because I was like, baby, this is a good date. Let's go ahead and see what that thing doing in the hotel room. But yes, definitely. Those are good questions, because I mean, you would get to the hotel room and then you don't know if they're really trying to please you. So thank you for that, right there. The important questions. I love that. Okay, I have a question right here. How do you answer the did you come question that always gets asked? It feels like pressure.
Well, if you have to ask me, then what do you think? No, I'm kidding. Oh, you answer it honestly, right? You answer it honestly. So if they ask, because listen, sometimes they do have to ask. I know we say if you there are a lot of stuff, there's a lot of stuff on social media that makes it very hard for us to teach our partners and our lovers how to please us, because social media will make you think that people need to come in and know exactly what to do. And again, you have to teach people how to please you, right? So if they have to ask you 37 times, then that's a problem. But if they do ask you, you could answer like this. There are a few ways to answer this question. You could say no. You could say, no, but I want to. Can we do this? Or can you do this? And you could say, no, but I'm going to use my toy and I'm gonna do it myself. If it depends, you're not saying it as a method to jab them, right? Or hit them where it hurts, but you are being honest about your orgasm, because your orgasm matters and is your responsibility. So you need to let them know if you came or not. And you say, no, but here's a way to get me there. Let's do this. Because again, sex doesn't end just because one person already orgasmed or they ejaculated or they came, especially if you want to. And sometimes you might say, no, I didn't come, but I'm still satisfied and I'm good. And I'm gonna wait till next time. Because again, like Dr. Lex taught us about edging earlier, that just, and if you are a person who has low sexual desire, and if you don't, I know I need to run. If you say, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make sure I get me next time, then what you're doing is you're building anticipation for the next time. And your body is going to remember that. Your body keeps the score. Your body remembers what's happening and what's going on. And so go for it next time if you want to. Those are a few ways to answer it, but you always want to be honest.
I concur completely and utterly. Honesty is the best policy, right? And again, for me, that honesty also means some vulnerability, right? So like, no, it felt really good, but my mind was just all over the place. I need to focus, or I need help winding down before. Can you maybe put the kids to bed while I get myself ready? Because I was just so distracted. Maybe we need to turn the baby monitor down on low. Y'all, I got toddlers, so that's what my life is. The other piece of that also be like, I didn't quite get there. Will you lay with me while I finish? Will you say nasty things in my ear? What, can I see you naked? Will you like dance for me? Whatever it is. While I finish, can I get that fodder, right? Can you tell me good things in my ear and give me that praise kink that I want? So there are other ways to facilitate, like, I didn't really finish. And studies do show that specifically women, and people have been conditioned as women, do feel sexually satisfied without the orgasm, typically the closer they are to their menstrual cycle. And their actual orgasm mode changes from necessarily a penetration to an oral fixation, right? So it's like, oh no, but would you mind going back down there for a minute? Let me sit on your face. Let me sit on your face. Like, don't move, just, right? Tap out if you won't die. and let me sit on your face. So it does show that that changes, but people do feel sexually satisfied without kind of that earth-shattering orgasmic feeling too. And be like, I'm cool. Oh, no, you should. I got you, man. These 3-year-olds, man, they knew, bro. They knew. So, yes, there are a bunch of ways to talk about, like, yes, I did, or no, I didn't, or I did, but I want to know how come you need to know, right? Because it's trying to tell them something about themselves and their self-esteem and ego versus like, I enjoy this time with you. Please don't ever think that if I'm enjoying something that I'm having a bad time. If I don't like it, I'm gonna tell you. So tell me what you need from me to figure out why like, did you finish? You good? Like, I'm cool. I'm gonna tell you if I didn't like it. But what is it for you that you need? And then figuring that out in a fun conversation. Use your mouth and explore what's going on for you.
Thank you. This is an anonymous question. Also, maybe with fluid bonding, what if you're still connected to someone long after it ended and they don't want to have sex with you anymore? How do you get over it? I also want to add on to this is that we hear a lot about soul ties. I'd love to kind of like hear your perspective on that as well.
I can't do soul ties. I told you I'm a recovering Baptist. It's not my forte, so I'm gonna be quiet there. But what I will say is the cells actually die off and renew every 7 years. You have cells that are consistently dying and consistently renewing themselves. So we not carrying ish that ain't for us. If it's not serving us, we gonna go ahead and let that go because you have a uterine lining that typically sheds because it knows how to let dead stuff go on a regular basis. So we're not carrying that. If you're fluid bonded to somebody, the DNA does not change. Matter of fact, the vaginal canal is actually acidic, right? It kills things, okay? It kills it because it doesn't want it. The reason why people are able to get pregnant is because during a certain time of the month, when you have that egg whitish discharge, your body is a little bit more basic, right? And sperm can actually flourish in that, and it makes a highway. But most of the time, your body's like, pew, pew. No, we don't want that in here. And the other science that, for some reason, is the patriarchy, don't want you to know is that sperm doesn't choose the egg and infiltrate it. The egg chooses the sperm. The egg is like, no, I like you. Come here. And actually will soften a spot so that specific sperm can go in there. So, no, there's no way somebody's fluid is going to be able to impact you at all. There was one study out of the University of Adelaide, which is in Australia, that did say that people who were trying to conceive, the more semen of their partner that they swallowed, it gave a DNA imprint to their body, so their body was less likely to fight off that specific sperm. Because it's like, oh, we ingest this. We know what this DNA is. But other than that, the body's typically fighting it off to try and make sure that there's not anything really messing up that flora and fauna that needs to be there. Now, I can't speak to soul ties. That's not my jam.
Yeah, that's why we tell y'all don't put all of those products in your vagina because your vagina doesn't need it. Because like Dr. Lexx just said, the good bacteria, the flora in that vagina needs to work. We need that working to make sure that it's killing the stuff that doesn't need to be in there. When you infiltrate the environment with douche and with these herbs and pearls and glues and
y'all sitting in boric acid
bee
baths,
stings, boric, bee wasp nests, and all kind of stuff people tell me they put in there for what? Not bee wasp, the nests, bee nests, not bee wasp, y'all. Nests, bee nests. People put bee nests in their vagina. Yes. And so you don't need any of that. Okay. No, you don't. You just need the vagina to do what it does. And so as it relates to soul ties, I think the information Dr. Lexx just gave us kind of helps us with soul ties too. When we talk about that, you can have a soul. Like, I don't think people understand what, I think that is another thing when we talk about patriarchy, that women are taught about soul ties to shame us to not experience sexual pleasure in the ways that we want to. Like, don't have sex with all these people, because if you find this one person, you're gonna be connected to this person. Or if you have sex with all these people, you're gonna be connected to all of these people. And your soulmate isn't always someone you have sex with, right? So it isn't always someone you're in a relationship with. It could be someone that you found in college who's a best friend or a great friend, right? It's someone who is a mirror to you, who shows you, who allows you to see who you are, who challenges you, to be the best you, someone who has your best interest at heart, and someone who whose growth you are invested in. That's and who's invested in you. That's what a soul mate is. So if this is your soul tie, then it may not be a bad person to be connected to. If this is someone who loves you in this way and who allows you to see yourself in that way as well. But as it relates to soul ties, I don't really do that stuff either.
Thank you. It looks like this is our last question. Michelle, you can go ahead.
Hi, good evening, ladies. I just had I don't know, I guess I'm going back to the question, going back to the resources on the vagina being a self-cleansing organ. And I think I just have a bit of a problem because to me, as you getting older, I think that's something you need to really take care of. And I just don't trust the fact that our vagina is a self-cleaning organ. So I think my question is then how do we take care of it as we're aging in
So,
relation
So
to
that's
sex
the
as well?
in relation to what now, Michelle?
Relations to sex as well.
So, in relation to sex, right? And I
Mhm.
will say, just being a Black woman over a certain age, one, there's a couple of things that don't support sexuality for y'all in general, right? So, men are dying, Black men specifically. Black women over the age of 55 are one of the highest rates of HIV contraction in the United States.
Yeah,
And medical doctors are trash
yeah,
for some parts, most parts, right? So taking care of vaginal health over a certain age, one, is overall health. So making sure you're hydrated, making sure that you're getting your checks, whether for PAPs, so making sure there's no any type of cervical cancer cells,
mhm,
anything like that, but also lubricants. So as the body loses estrogen and things start to sag a little bit, you might have more of a fupa, which is there to protect organs. Put it on their forehead, they're fine. But you're going to need to have maybe either some estrogen creams or hormone replacement therapy, or you're going to need to have a regular lubricant that you can use, right? And that regular lubricant is just for comfort because there can be thinning of the vaginal walls. And so that
mhm,
thinning of the vaginal walls makes it more likely to micro tears. And those micro tears are more likely to house bacteria, which is going to cause that natural flora and fauna to decrease, and that nasty bacteria that makes things smell like fish, that gives you a really, really thick odored discharge. They're gonna
mhm.
be like, hey yo, it's a party up in here, come on, ain't nothing to fight us off, this is fun, right? And that's not what we're looking for. Things that usually are typically like summer's eve or douches wash out the stuff that fights it off. And some of us have had this. You've gone somewhere and you've smelled yourself and you're like, I smell like ammonia. Or you might have had bleach spots in your underwear because your body naturally makes NH4. Your vaginal canal and all of the glands in your vulva make ammonia. Like you walking around like the real Mrs. Clean and Pine Sol lady because you're making actual ammonia with your body because that's how precious it is to keep clean. So if that pH balance, yes, can be off as well. Semen can throw off your pH balance. If this dude is drinking battery acid and Hennessy on a regular basis and not water, right? He's still smoking blacks and cigars. His pH is off. If he only eat broccoli, right? And the what is it? I can't even think of it. Cruciferous vegetables, that can throw you off too. So you have to be mindful of what your vagina is actually ingesting because it does absorb some of those things. And no, you're not going to get by just eating pineapples to try and make your vaginal canal sweet. But good hydration, a water-based lubricant, right? Making sure you're still doing the wiping of the front to back and not the back to front because we're not bringing fecal matter towards our vaginal canal.
Right.
And checking your estrogen and progesterone levels because those are going to be really important with making sure there's no type of vaginal prolapse, there's no type of cervical issues, and that vaginal elasticity is still going to be in place. Also, regular masturbation helps because it brings good blood flow to the vulva and vagina. And good blood flow, A, means really good pleasure, but it also means the organ and the muscles are getting good oxygenated blood on a regular basis.
Yes, yes, yeah, yes, Dr. Lex, thank you for that. And also, Michelle, I just want to say this, right? Because I remember going in the bathroom and seeing that red bag in the bathroom. So if I were to tell my mom and my aunt still that the vagina is a self-cleaning oven, when I saw that red bag in those Summer's Eve vinegar and water and that mastingale, they like, no, I'm still going to use my thing because it just makes me feel better. However, we know everything that Dr. Lex just told us about how that breaks down the natural bacteria in the body. This is what a lot of people get confused when we say the vagina is a self-cleaning. What we're talking about is this. We're talking about the spot where blood comes from, where babies sometimes come from, where a penis might go for penetration. We're telling you not to put soap inside of here, right? This is what we're telling you not to do, not to put any cleaning supplies in here, because everything that Dr. Lex just mentioned about your overall health, going to the doctor, making sure that everything is well, making sure that you're eating well, that you are drinking enough water, that you recognizing what are the sexual changes that are happening to your body at every life stage, because we all are experiencing I'm experiencing a sexual change right now. We all are experiencing sexual changes at every stage of our bodies or our lives, right? So we're saying don't put stuff in here, right? Because you don't want to increase your risk of having bacteria, the bad bacteria that prevents your body from fighting. What we're not saying is don't clean this, right? So you can absolutely use some people just still use some people still just use like hot water on the vulva. So you might not be able to see that one, but no, you can't see that one. The vulva is basically everything on the outside. It's the external genitalia, right? So yes, it's the outside lips, it's the inner lips, it's the clitoral hood, the clitoral glands, and it's the mons, the space where the hair grows, right? And it's this area right here that we have, we can clean that. So if you feel like using a mild soap and some water right there, cool. But we're saying, you see that hole? Don't put no soap in there. You don't want to mess that up.
Okay, thank you, ladies. I think I have another question, just a short question. What is and I guess it depends on the woman, and I'm saying this because I'm older. What age should you just stop having sex,
What?
given with the changes that we go through?
So Michelle, I really
2000 never.
appreciate I really appreciate you being vulnerable and asking these questions, because one thing that I know Dr. Lex is working on some stuff. We definitely want people, I don't know your age, but I heard you say you're older. we
54.
We want people, okay, you're not that old, but we do want people over 40 and beyond, especially people over 50, to be more involved in their sexual selves or with their sexual selves. And so the answer to that is like what Dr. Lex just said. You don't ever have to stop having sex. And keep in mind, right, that sex isn't limited to genital contact. You have a whole entire body. Sex don't mean just rubbing genitals together. Sex means a whole lot of other things. How else can you experience sexual pleasure? For some people, that means stimulating their nipples. For some people, that means watching erotica or porn, or reading erotica, or going to different types of sex parties and sex clubs. The sex clubs, I'm on the scene a lot, and the 50+ crowd is in the sex clubs heavy. Okay. So what you can do though, right? So if you start feeling like your sexuality is changing, you start assessing, what are my sexual needs now? What do I think I might want to do at this time? And you can always talk to Google a sexologist or a sex therapist in your area, but you want to figure out what serves me at this point in my life. Because I can tell you this, what I liked 20 years ago, my husband can't come up here and do that rabbit humping on me today, because he don't have to go. Like you can't come up here and have this type of sex with me. So you have to consistently assess where you are right now today and figure out what your needs are. You might not fancy penetrative sex, but you might still love clitoral stimulation. And so you might tell your partner, like, I like digital sex with your fingers. Use your fingers, right? Use your mouth. I like oral sex. Or I just like feeling hands rubbed on my body, right? So you can assess what sex means for you. And it doesn't matter what your age is. You get to figure that out. You and your partner, you get to figure that out. And if you are a person who might be having issues with orgasm or might be having issues with that, omgyes.com is a good resource for you.
Okay.
But again, you want to figure out where you are, think about what you might want, and do more of the things you want to do, not the things you think you have to do.
Thank you.
Of
So,
course.
and the only
My
part I will
pleasure.
add to that is that my oldest successful couple was 95 and 87. And they had regular sexual play and regular orgasms on both sides. Both had been cancer survivors multiple times. And they came to me just to talk about orgasm types and what it might mean if orgasms change. They were both on multiple relationships, but they were 87, 92, 95, 87 and 95. And they were still able to have pleasurable time together. It might have looked different every time, but they were able to have pleasurable time. So, as long as you're not limiting yourself, there are no limits for you. You are sexual from womb to tomb.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's why we are sexologists, because this is something that sexuality is something that exists with us throughout the lifespan. Like Dr. Lexx said, from womb to tomb.
Thank you. There's hope.
Yes. That's what
That's
we
such
love
a
to hear.
That's such a fantastic note for us to end on. Just Black women and their pleasure. And thank you for being vulnerable with us in this space, Michelle. So before I hand it off to Dr. Joy, I just wanted to thank you both for coming to chat with us. This is a successful second girls' night in where we talk about sex, and this is great. My name is Jasmine. I'm the community manager here at Therapy for Black Girls. I just wanted to invite you to join us in the Sister Circle. We have these kind of conversations all the time. We have a book club discussion coming up. We read Addicted by Zane. So we have all kinds of stuff. And then this recording, last year's recording, and all of the other recordings from the events that we have are available in there as well for replay. So thank you for letting us have your time this evening. Thank you both. And Dr. Joy, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Jasmine. And thank y'all, Shaymra and Dr. Lexx. Always such a pleasure to share space with y'all. I just feel really touched by like the work that you all do, because I think that these are conversations that have been shamed for us, right? Like as Black women. And so I just really appreciate all the work that y'all do in speaking and on social, really like just having space for us to really have these conversations and figuring out what pleasure looks like for us. So definitely please support them. Naisha has been putting all of their links and stuff in the chat. So definitely check out their books and their cards. They've both been on the podcast several times. So listen to everything they've had to share. And again, just thank y'all so much for being with us here tonight. So we will have the recording up tonight. So I heard Yolanda say she just wanted to go back and review her notes. So after we're done, I'm going to upload it to the recorded sessions or the recorded video section of the Sister Circle. So y'all have a great rest of your Friday evening. Get you some pleasure time in. And we will see y'all all later.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.